Good afternoon. Media Center Ukraine Odesa continues its work, and our next briefing is dedicated to the quality of education in times of war. Our speaker is Maryna Malik, head of the State Service of Education Quality of Ukraine in Odesa region. Thank you for joining us today, and let's start from the most important topic. What are the challenges for the participants of the educational process because of the forthcoming invasion? Good afternoon. I would like to welcome everyone who has joined our meeting. The question of quality education is very important in these difficult times of war. We do everything possible for proper organization of quality process, and we try to ensure safe educational process. So we try to support all the stakeholders and professionals, including with the mental support. And I quite often can hear a question: should we now focus on the quality education? Should we be preoccupied with this topic now? And we communicate with the teachers, with parents, and also the measures taken by the State Service of Education Quality of Ukraine demonstrate that for our society, quality education is still very important, both for children who are still here, who are still abroad, children who live in relatively peaceful territories in western regions of Ukraine, or internally displaced children. All these children, their parents want to get quality education. The same is for teachers. We have discussed the quality education with our professionals. In Ukraine, on the 24th of February, during the war, there was the all-Ukrainian forum dedicated to quality of education involving the Ministry of Education of Ukraine, the State Service of Education Quality of Ukraine, representatives of different stakeholders, and we discussed important trends. We were looking for the ways to ensure quality education for our children. And the question is, what is quality education? This is like a general question. Quite often, when we discuss this topic with parents, they say that for them, the score is more important. But for others, this is some great school that was recommended by friends. And it took us a long time to define what is the quality education, but in 2017, the law on education was adopted, defining the development of education in Ukraine for the future. Also identifies these notions like quality education. So this is the meeting the standards adopted in our state. And this is also the processes that ensure quality education to children. There is the question, who are the players in this field? And of course, we can now see that education has been transforming since 2017. We have been shifting from the system of total control to the system that can ensure quality education and that can support all participants of the process. And of course, important role now is played by local self-governance bodies and also the education management bodies, which are responsible for ensuring quality education in a specific territory, to support educational institutions, to ensure proper equipment and sources that can create conditions for quality education, to prepare shelters. Yes, of course, this is important today. This is important to organize online educational process. And there is one more important player in the system. This is the manager of the educational institutions. And he's responsible for organization of internal processes. For example, at school, and also to organize self-assessment. This is strategic for the strategy for the development of the educational process. These are activities involving the teachers and employees of the school. And if we see the education as a system, then we should not only have a view from inside or to organize conditions. And we have 91 territorial community, which is responsible for organizing this process. But we also need to have a body that will externally assess the efficiency of educational institution. And in 2017, the law on education identified this body. This is the State Education Quality Service. And in 2019, territorial offices were launched, including our branch, which is responsible for these functions. So, what are our responsibilities apart from external assessment of educational institutions? Of course, this includes monitorings and surveys, allowing us to analyze the situation that we now have in this area, both in our region and in Ukraine in general, because usually such surveys involve the State Service of Education Quality of Ukraine and its territorial bodies. Recently, during the full-scale invasion, we have analyzed the remote learning, the testing of students of different grades, and also to identify the losses during distance learning. And there are also a lot of other issues, and I hope that in the nearest future we will be able to discuss the results of these activities here in the Media Center Ukraine Odesa for our audience to see the results that we have and what is the task of educational professionals both at the Ukrainian level and at the level of the Odesa region. And also what is important, how we can support our students, our school children and their parents, because we need to support our children to ensure quality education, and we can offer this support not only to children but their parents and also teachers. And it would be also nice to learn about the problems and challenges that you identify as a result of your monitoring. We can now see that all territories of Ukraine regions are different because we live in different conditions. In June, our service, the Ukrainian level, conducted testing in different regions of Ukraine. Using the All Ukrainian platform online, and we can see different knowledge of children residing in the north, in the south, in the west, and in the east. And unfortunately, knowledge of children from Odesa, Mykolaiv, Kherson Oblast are not the best in Ukraine. And we can see that girls and boys have different knowledge. For example, girls are more focused on the education process. We can see what topics are easier for children and what topics and subjects are more challenging. And this information is used for our future work with our teachers, with the centers of professional development, to support our teachers in our work with communities, to provide a tool to overcome the losses. You say that in the south of Ukraine, the indicators are worse comparing to other regions. What is the reason for this? Because of the lack of professionalism of teachers, or what other reasons can you share with us? It is difficult to say because we are now living in very difficult conditions, especially in Kherson Mykolaiv Oblast. The huge amount of air raid alerts, during air raid alerts, they need to pause educational process, the mental state, the amount of internally displaced persons. So there is the huge list of factors. That's why I would like to offer to come back to the topic when we will be able to present the results of our monitoring and survey. And now, I would like to come back to the activities of the State Service of Education Quality in Odesa region. We also certify our teachers, and this is a democratic approach to our work with teachers. And they also get support in such external assessment of their activities. Our service and the state service in general supports with advice all participants of educational process. We have the hotline in the State Service of Education Quality of Ukraine in the Odesa region, and I would like to ask you to show the contact details of our service. You can see here telephone number, the email that you can use to contact us. We have a lot of information from parents, from teachers. They ask us for advice, for support. Quite often we visit our professionals in the field. We support them. And this is important to ensure quality education for our children. Are there any issues with the command of Ukrainian language by teachers? Thank you very much for this question. And during the war, we've had several monitoring surveys, and one of them was dedicated to the command and knowledge of Ukrainian language. We receive such complaints, information, because the situations in different educational institutions can vary, and the usage of the state language is the priority for educational institutions. They try to use Ukrainian language to the maximum extent possible, despite the fact that in our region there is quite a big percentage of families who use other languages at home for their communication. But educational institutions are focused a lot now on Ukrainian language. This is the language for subject, for external activities, and we hope the situation will improve. Yesterday, we had the representative of the commissioner for protecting the state language in the south of Ukraine, and she said that in the Odesa region they received the biggest amount of complaints because teachers do not speak Ukrainian language. And we had monitoring in the secondary and higher educational institutions, so that was the segment that we started and examined. And I think that in higher educational institutions where a lot of students, which are actually grown-ups, and these are, but we monitored the secondary educational institutions where the children are not older than 16, 18 years old. But the situations are different, and sometimes we receive complaints from people. Do you have any information about complaints related to anti-Ukrainian propaganda during educational process? Because I know that we've had such cases in Odesa. We should not exclude this possibility. After the 24th of February 2022, we have not received such complaints in relation to this issue, but I know that there are different situations, and we can learn information from mass media about such cases. And I would like to thank the education management bodies that quickly respond to such cases. They take managerial decisions as quickly as possible to prevent such cases in the future. Perhaps we should also take into consideration that last year a lot of educational institutions introduced elements of distance learning. So they tried to work remotely. And of course, the administration of an educational institution could not fully monitor the situation. But in any case, if we get complaints, the State Service of Education Quality and the Department of the State Service of Education Quality of Ukraine in Odesa region are ready to such cases and are ready to respond accordingly. I would like to ask our director to show this the contacts. And you also can see here the QR codes for our informational resources, and we can see you can see that we have the Facebook page, and please subscribe. And because we publish all the information and also the results of our surveys, and we publish this information on our pages. We also have a YouTube channel, although it is not big. And on the next slide, you can see contacts that can be used to send us a complaint or to get some additional information for parents, teachers, or for the society in general. And we also have this website of the State Service of Education Quality of Ukraine. It is very easy to Google it. And of course, you can find all information there about the activities of the service of the territorial bodies and also our plans for the future, because it is very important for us to get feedback from the society, and we're ready to discuss our future plans. For example, in the nearest future, we are going to have monitoring research, and we hope that we will be able to conduct it with the support of the Odesa State Regional Administration. We will study the readiness of educational institutions to introduce vocational training. It is very important to assess the readiness, because this is one of the elements of quality education for our children. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you very much for the information provided. And now I would like to remind that that was Maryna Malik, head of the Department of the State Service of Education Quality of Ukraine in Odesa region. And if you allow, just a few words, of course. Today, we have a meeting on the eve of several important holidays. And yesterday, actually, we could see congratulations on the best teachers. And this weekend, we will mark the Day of Teacher in Ukraine. And I would like to thank our teachers for their work, and I would also like to thank them for having possibility to continue teaching our children. And I would also like to thank all people involved in the process doing it as safe as possible today. And I would also like to say that this year there is a coincidence that on the same day we will congratulate our defender. And I would like to thank them for having this possibility to discuss it today. And we can develop plans. And we will be victorious. Everything will be fine. And we'll meet we'll be able to cover all the rights of children envisaged by the Constitution. And we know that Ukraine, of course, will win in this war. Thank you very much for being with us today. And this is all for today.